Okay, everyone. Hi, my name is Cynthia Grande. I am the career advisor and outreach manager for the program, Precision Medicine Therapeutics and Oncology. My role here is to promote the program and then help with students with any career guidance. And I'll pass it over to Kiana Adams.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kiana Adams. I work as academic advisor and graduate coordinator, so I help with admissions, matriculation, and student affairs. And I will pass it over to Dr. E.
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is William Etwati. I'm the managing director for the Master in Precision Medicine Therapeutics and Oncology. And I'm trained as a PharmD. I'm also managing a master's in drug development and product management here at UCSD. Thank you, Kiana. Sandeep, do you want to introduce yourself briefly?
Sure thing. Hi, I'm Sandeep Patel, a medical oncologist and one of the faculty co-chairs. Great, buddy.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Sandeep. And with that, we are going to go through a little bit of a presentation. We will leave some time for you to ask a question at the end. So don't hesitate to do that. So here's what I'm going to cover today. And of course, my colleague, Sandeep, and my colleague also for extended studies will provide some information as well. I'm going to talk to you about the program a little bit. If some of you have already seen the website, then it's great. You will already know some of those information, but hopefully I'll bring some new information as well. We'll talk about the program features and benefits, basically what's in it for you if you were to enroll. We'll talk about the unique curriculum that we have designed as well as the faculty that we have. And then Kiana will talk about the program logistics, and at the end, we'll answer questions that you may have. So what is the program? First of all, this is a brand new program that was just launched this year at the School of Medicine. And it's a program that is a Master of Advanced Studies in Precision Medicine. It is a STEM degree in therapeutics and oncology. It's interdisciplinary, as you will see, in the sense that we have faculty that are both basic science faculty, clinical faculty, as well as industry leaders in their field. It is primarily concentrated in oncology. And really what you're going to learn throughout the program is not only what the patient journey goes through when they have cancer, but also how to develop drugs in oncology. So it's a mix of healthcare as well as drug development. So the program leadership, Dr. Patel and myself introduce ourselves. The faculty director is Dr. Scott Lippman. Scott is was actually the director of the Moore Cancer Center. He has major cancer research honors. He has been cited, in the American Physician Association. He's distinguished professor at UCSD, and he has multiple endowed chair. And again, you can look a lot more on his profile. He's also a medical oncologist as well. So what makes this program unique? Why should you come to UCSD to do this master? So I'm going to try to cover this over the next few slides. First of all, let's talk about some of the unique features and the skills that you are going to acquire if you attend the program. We have world-class training faculty from both the School of Medicine, the SCAG School of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Science, the Moore Cancer Center, which is actually the only NCI-designated comprehensive cancer center here in San Diego. And in addition to that, you're going to have faculty who work directly in industry. As you know, San Diego is a big biotech and pharma hub. Many companies here in San Diego are actually working in oncology. We also have multiple other cancer centers that are also collaborating with us in terms of faculty that we have. The other feature that is really critical is that you are going to understand much better when you do this program the patient care with precision medicine. And you will see from the slides on faculty that we have many leaders who actually are not only involved in research, both clinical and basic research, but they are also clinicians. Like, for example, Dr. Patel Dr. Lippman and many of the others that I will share with you in a moment. So it's going to really be completely inclusive from early stage genetic profiling all the way to treatment and personal care. You are going to learn cutting edge science, okay? And again, I'll go in more detail in the curriculum. It's interdisciplinary, meaning that you have MDs, PharmDs, PhDs, who are going to teach throughout the entire program. The student cohort also is going to be a mix of students who have both healthcare understanding and industry understanding. So that's another point that is critical, is not only are you going to learn from the faculty and the guest speakers that will be coming to talk to you and provide you with a lot of information, you also will learn from your classmate. And that's something I can't stress enough, that will be extremely important. And then, of course, the idea behind the program is for you to get a lot more skills in oncology and to be able to advance your career. And I will give you example of types of jobs that you will be able to have and secure once you complete the program. So let me talk about the innovative curriculum. And the curriculum, we kind of design it both from a patient journey and a drug journey. And that's really important. So for those of you who are on the commercial side or in the pharmaceutical industry or biotech industry, you will understand that pharma has really changed the mindset, where it was very drug oriented. Obviously, they are still there to deliver drugs, but they are now looking more at the patient journey and trying to better understand how that works. And of course, from a clinical perspective, that is absolutely essential. So all the courses, by the way, are required for you to graduate, and I'll go in terms of the schedule and logistic of how you're going to do this. But I think it was important to divide, if you will, the curriculum with all the faculty that we have into these two pieces, patient journey and drug journey. So you will learn everything. In here, what is described is basically, think about, when you are first diagnosed with cancer, and I will turn it over to my colleague, Dr. Patel, who is a lot more qualified than I am because I'm not an oncologist. I know enough about the process, and I know enough because I've actually worked in biotech to develop drugs for the treatment of advanced cancers and multiple cancers. So I have a good understanding, but I'm not an oncologist. So Dr. Patel is going to talk a bit more about this. But if you look at this slide really describes, if you will, what a patient would go through in terms of diagnosis, as well as in terms of, and that goes through, precision medicine, looking at biomarkers, looking at doing genomic profiling, which UCSD More Cancer System does quite extensively, understanding what is required from an imaging perspective, looking at surgery. One of the faculty that we have, Dr. Kalesi, is a neurosurgeon who does a lot of precision surgery. And going through using actually bioinformatics, using AI. So that's another thing that is very important. You will be learning how generative AI is being used in better understanding tumor and precision cancer medicine. And then once you have gone through that from a patient standpoint, obviously, then you have to decide, okay, so potentially you can do surgery, sometimes you cannot, especially if you have too many metastases, so you need to go through radiation, or then you will also look at immunotherapy, gene and cell therapy. In addition to that, cancer patients are immunocompromised, and infectious disease play a major role. So Dr. Nizey, for example, teach a course. And then the other part that is important is, impacting patient and family, understanding patient care, understanding how to guide the patient through that process is absolutely critical. Many of the faculty listed here have international and national awards. For example, Dr. Muotri, who's going to teach with Dr. Kaufman in cell and gene therapy, has received NIH Director New Innovator Award. Okay, so this is one of the awards that he has, and he has many other awards. Actually, he also collaborates with NASA in studying actually cancer on the space station, which is something that is absolutely phenomenal. Dr. Victor Nezay has received numerous awards in both actually National Academy of Medicine. He's actually a member of National Academy of Medicine, but he has received many awards in American Lung Association Career Investigator Award, Senior Fellowship in American Asthma Foundation, so in a number of fields. Dr. Cuomo, who also is teaching, which I will share with you in a moment, has received, Royal Society for Public Health, is a fellow of Royal Society of Public Health, and has received also awards. He actually just published a book recently. Sandeep, do you want to talk about some of the things that you do and some of the other faculty? I think you also know them extremely well.
Yeah, no, I think William, and I think many of us are active. In fact, I'm moving around. I'm heading to the hospital myself to see patients. And so I think the idea is we want folks to really have a clinically relevant educational experience. And whether that clinic means you're seeing patients, whether it means you are working with patients in clinical trials through industry, CROs, or whether it's through the direct care delivery to kind of enrich yourself, the goal is to have a very clinically meaningful experience to really link the bench to bedside. And as you can see from the faculty, many folks, active practitioners, active researchers.
Thank you, Sandeep. Another, part of the patient journey is what Dr. Lisa Madlensky is going to teach, which is in terms of genetic counseling. She's actually a founding member of the Familial Cancer Risk Group and long-standing national leadership in cancer genetic counseling. So again, very important. So that's on the patient journey. Let me talk a little bit about the drug journey, because that's also absolutely essential. So on the drug journey here, as you can see, you are going to learn what is required to design a companion diagnostic in oncology drug development, as well as the regulatory and ethical framework in clinical trial. You're going to work how to design clinical trial drug development specifically in oncology. For example, Dr. Ma has two co-chairs. One of them, Dr. Ken Kern, is actually at Pfizer, a medical director in oncology. And Andrew Chang is also working in oncology with a biotech company. You will understand the regulatory and clinical pharmacology of precision medicine. Both Dr. Anthony Madgett and Dr. Mumper. Dr. Mumper actually spent time at the FDA. He was a former fellow from Office of Clinical Pharmacology at the FDA. Will be teaching you about what does it take to file an NDA or an IND, and what are the ethical considerations when you are doing clinical trial. I myself will be also teaching drug commercialization and precision medicine specifically to oncology. And one of the requirements for the program is that you will be doing a capstone project. And Dr. Cuomo, in addition to teaching a course, will be actually managing the capstone project with the faculty for you to graduate from the program. So as you can see, this is quite an extensive curriculum that we have developed with over 24 well-known faculty, both from academia and from industry. So moving on. Who should apply for this program? So that's absolutely essential that you understand. So we are looking for healthcare professionals who are looking to specialize in precision oncology. They can be MDs, they can be PharmDs, they can be PhDs, they can be nurses, they can be physician assistant, nurse practitioner. So really anybody from the healthcare sector who is a clinician, who is working in healthcare is welcome to apply. We are also looking for researchers, so people who are currently working in research, either in academia or in industry, uh, and really want to specialize a lot more in oncology. And as you know, oncology is a very big therapeutic area. It's probably the third killer in terms of human health overall under cardiovascular diseases. So from that perspective, if you have a pharma background, regardless of where you work in pharma, and your interest is to work in oncology, this master would open a lot of doors. And I'll share with you a number of types of careers that you could do. And then, as I mentioned, also other types of people would be potentially medical students who are, let's say, between their third and fourth year and want to get a lot better understanding of what it takes to develop drugs and understand the clinical aspect of oncology as well. Okay. So you would say, okay, great, this is all good, fabulous curriculum, amazing faculty, but what am I going to be able to do after I graduate if I do this degree? So obviously that's going to depend. If you are an MD or if you're a PharmD, obviously that's going to allow you to advance your career in oncology. But if you don't have an advanced degree already, then the types of role you are going to have are different. And I'm going to try to describe to you some very specific role with very specific positions that people could have. So number one, you're going to become a specialist in oncology. You are going to have I would say, a mile deep in oncology application, both from the patient standpoint all the way to treatment plans. So that's going to be really important. You're going to have a good understanding of clinical research. For example, in Dr. Miles' class, you will be able to write a phase 3 clinical protocol. So if you are really interested in clinical research, both in academia or industry, you're going to be able to do that. You're going to understand cell therapy as they relate, or immunotherapy as they relate to oncology drug development and treatment. You are also going to understand the regulatory and ethical aspect, as well as the business aspect as it relates to biomarker, diagnostics, and drugs. Okay, so that's going to be really important. You are also going to understand how health systems work, especially from a genomic and data science, and how they collaborate with the clinician and the pharmacist to improve patient outcome. So a number of skills, directly applicable skills, you will be able to gather through a number of projects that you will do through all of the courses. So it's not going to be just didactic courses. You are going to be doing specific projects for each of these courses that you will do. So let's talk about healthcare roles, specific job title. And again, I want to really stress the fact that these are just example of job titles based on your previous experience. But this is just a few of them. So if you are an MD, for example, or a PharmD, you potentially could become, a clinical program director in terms of overseeing an entire program in precision medicine, making sure that the clinical protocols are designed properly, making sure that regulatory compliance is there, for many types of therapies, either immunotherapy or CAR T cell therapy, which are right at the forefront of drug development and drug armamentarium. Depending on your degree or depending on your background, precision medicine clinical specialists. So here, you don't necessarily need to have an MD or a PharmD or a PhD. You can be a nurse, you can be a PA, or you can be a scientist who have worked in the field, and you'll be able to apply molecular profiling, understanding, how biopsies are important, understanding sequencing, understanding data, working with oncologists to optimize drug selection. So that's on, the healthcare side, because you're going to have courses specifically on data analytics. Clinical informatics or manager or analyst, again, these titles are depending on your years of experience. Using AI driven for point of care, how do you use AI? For example, one of our, several of our faculty will be teaching in that. but even more from that standpoint, one of our faculty who is going to teach is actually going to show you how AI is applied in radiology, and how AI is being used to basically also diagnose more, even better early stage cancer. So let's now switch to industry roles, because as I mentioned, the type of student we are looking at are both healthcare as well as drug development. Well, here, I told you earlier, clinical development, scientist manager, developing protocol, and understanding how biomarkers are important to create, increase the probability of success for your drug to be successful. If you are more interested in, commercial slice slash being more of an interaction with the clinician, MSL, which is medical science liaison, very often working with key opinion leaders is important. Understanding all the stuff we'll teach you will be critical. Regulatory science, biomarker strategy lead, product manager, these are all roles that you could potentially have in after you graduate from the program. So these are examples, and again, it's not exhaustive. Let me go quickly through the program logistics, and then I will turn it over to my colleague, Kiana Adams. The program structure is 36 units. You can either complete it in 3 quarters, so it's really fast. You will be having courses 3 times a week, 3 days. The courses are in the evening, usually from 4 to 8 or 5 to 8 p.m. It starts in late September of 2026, which is what we are recruiting for right now. And it will be primarily in person with obviously some synchronous remote lectures, because we will have many guest speakers in all of the classes that we'll be teaching. So you can do it in 1 year, 3 quarters, really intense, similar to DDPM, for example, or if you are a clinician or a senior exec, you can also do it in 24 months over 6 quarters, meaning that your workload will be reduced on a quarter basis. And I'll share with you in a moment what that is. The capstone project, as I mentioned, is a requirement. So in addition to all the tests that you will have, to make sure that you fully understand the skills and acquire the skills for each course, you will have a capstone project that will be, for example, evaluation of another cancer screening method, investigating germline or somatic alteration and therapeutic response, designing a clinical trial, writing a marketing plan for a new drug. There will be many, many projects. And of course, all of our faculty will mentor at least one student. So you will work with a faculty from, the program or some of their colleagues that are basically working in their lab. And that's really important. Dr. Cuomo actually will be an amazing resource, as he will help you in designing your capstone project. So let me talk briefly about the pace of study year 1. I am not going to go through all of these courses. You have all the detail on the website. I encourage you to go, and there is great course descriptions of each of them. But the first quarter, if you do the 1-year track, as you can see, you will have a number of courses that are being taught by the faculty, both on precision medicine, genomics, AI, functional precision oncology, and imaging and artificial intelligence application. So both Dr. Tamayo and Dr. William Kim. Dr. William Kim is actually at Yale, and Dr. Ajeda Fournier Haiti will be really digging into the application of AI, which is absolutely essential for precision medicine and diagnosis.
Hi, Williams.
Yes.
This is Scott. Yeah, I had trouble getting on, so I'm using my phone.
Thank you, Scott.
Yeah, sorry I'm late.
No worries, no worries. Actually, Scott, do you want to, well, actually, this is actually perfect. Do you want to talk about, so this is the second quarter, if you do a one-year track, but you and Dr. Cohen will be teaching precision immunotherapies. You want to talk briefly about what you are going to be teaching that quarter?
Yeah, well, my ears perked up when you said AI just a minute ago. So, to be some of it we'll talk about is the role of AI in detecting biomarkers of immunotherapy resistance and response, and delving into the rationale of why of the different types of immunotherapy, particularly focusing on immune checkpoint blockade and the mechanism of that, so people understand the markers. In other words, focusing on the PD-1, PD-L1 pathway and the mechanism of tumor cells to escape immune system by upregulating PD-L1, and thus the rationale for anti-PD-1 drugs. So mostly it'll be the biology behind that, and then the current status as published, a real seminal trial published in Lancet on the efficacy of immune checkpoint blockade in head and neck cancer, where the idea of the sort of change in the shape of the survival curve, where you increase the tail on the curve so that you actually cure more patients, but at the end of the day, still only 15 to 20% of patients benefit. So talking about how to optimize the treatment with predictive biomarkers, including AI. So that'll be most of it. We'll touch base on some of the other immune therapies like CAR T and so on, but I think that'll be covered by Dan Kaufman's course on cell therapy. So, talking about, again, how immune checkpoint therapy has dramatically changed the landscape, the ability to cure patients with metastatic solid tumors like head, neck, and lung cancer. That's the good news, but the cure rates are very low, and less than 1 in 5 people respond. So,
Thank you, Scott. Sandy, do you want to talk a little bit about your course? I think, since we have here to
Yeah.
verify.
Yeah, no, absolutely delighted. I think what Scott mentioned kind of goes hand in hand. And so I'll be working with Dr. Shumei Kato talking about precision genomics. And this is actually something that's real and dear to many of us. We have a weekly molecular tumor board. We take the genomic information and increasingly artificial intelligence augmented methods and try to come up with personalized treatment options for patients with cancer so that their treatment is as unique as their cancer is. I think, historically in oncology, things have been one size fits all. And in the chemotherapy era, I think that's sufficed. But in the era of targeted therapy, immunotherapy, personalized cell therapy, our ability to bring patients their best treatment for their cancer based on their individual tumor profile really requires an intersection of pathology, radiology, medical oncology, genetics. And so what we'll be discussing are the various tools for which we use to better understand a patient's tumor and how we come up with treatment recommendations in terms of standard of care treatments or targeted therapy, clinical trials, and then with an eye towards cancer of unknown primary rare tumors where the genetics may be the diagnosis given the lack of information we may have about that tumor otherwise.
Thank you, Sandy. So in Q3, here are the courses that you will have. As you can see, they are actually going to be quite a number of them. You will learn personalized medicine for infection in cancer, which, again, as I mentioned, are really important when you have immunocompromised patients, which basically is what happens when you have cancer. You will learn clinical development, regulatory strategy, and commercial strategy, as well as the capstone project. And that basically concludes the one-year track, which is 36 units. If you wanted to do it in 2 years, which is one of the features that is available, so for people, for example, who are MDs and PharmDs and are clinicians or even executives in pharma who do not have the time to do it over just 3 quarters, this is the 2-year track. And I'm not going to go back through each of the courses, but this is just to give you an idea of how it breaks down. You will have half the number of courses that you would have the first year that you would have if you were doing it in 1 year. Okay, so that's Q1 and Q2 in year 2, Q4, 5, and 6. Okay. So in terms of admission requirements, we are looking for both advanced degrees, MDs, PhD, PharmDs, PAs, nurses, BAs as well. If you only have a bachelor's degree, you need at least 2 to 3 years of related work experience, which is really important. You need a 3.0 GPA from graduate, undergraduate, or post-bac studies. And, with that, actually, let me have Kiana walk you through some of the other requirements.
Perfect. Thank you, Williams. So as you are submitting your application and going through the application requirements, you will fill out an online application for graduate admissions. And in there, the documents that you need to upload are a resume or a CV. You'll need a statement of purpose explaining why this program is of interest to you, how it aligns with your career goals, and how you plan to leverage this degree. Additionally, you will need 3 letters of recommendation, including one from a relevant employer. For international applicants, we need a TOEFL, IELTS, or Duolingo test scores. The minimum scores are listed here and they're also on the website. And once your application is submitted and the admissions committee reviews it, you may be contacted for an interview. And then after that, we'll contact you, letting you know your status in the program. So additionally, there's no GRE or GMAT required, so you do not need to submit any of those scores. So for financial information, the total cost of the program is about $45,000, and that covers instruction and campus-based fees. There are government loans available for U.S. citizens and permanent residents as long as you're enrolled in 6 units per quarter. There's also private loans that are an option, and UCSD has financial resources for admitted students at our Financial Aid and Scholarship Office or our Veterans Affairs Office. We have that as well for eligible veterans. And if accepted into the program, there is an $1,000 non-refundable deposit. So that will secure your spot in the program. That will be due first, again, to secure your spot in the program. And then that $1,000 will go toward your fall quarter tuition. So even though this program is partnered with the School of Medicine, it is ran administratively through extended studies. So these are some of the staff members, Christina, who's on this call as well, myself, and Cynthia. And then Hugo is the Dean of UCSD Extended Studies. So these are some other people that are just helping with this program. And then the application deadline is July 15th, 2026. The application is open now if anyone would like to apply or has started an application already. And if you do have any questions about your application or if you need clarification on anything, please feel free to reach out.
Excellent. Thank you, Kiana. One thing I just want to mention is that we do rolling enrollment. So if the sooner you apply, the sooner we can look at your application and the sooner you potentially can be accepted in the program. So really important, don't wait until the deadline to apply. Cynthia and Kiana are here to answer your questions.